Cooper Flagg has just been drafted to the Mavericks, and the hype is real for the young star.
And Cooper Flagg's the real deal. Like, he's the best freshman player Duke's ever had.
But does he have what it takes to become the GOAT? We're going to be finding out as we witness Coop's entire NBA career while he attempts to overshadow the all-time greats that came before him. By aiming to match Mike's incredible 6 NBA championships with the Bulls, cementing himself in the history books alongside guys like Kobe and Shaq by completing a three-peat and becoming the face of the league like LeBron with at least 4 MVPs. Only time will tell what he can achieve, but for now, he's off to a great start. Kicking off his rookie campaign, already looking NBA ready and living up to the towering expectations. It wouldn't take him long to adapt to the faster-paced action of professional ball, and his averages would quickly reflect his well-rounded skill set, not only winning the Rookie of the Year, but finding ways to help his team win however possible, resulting in Dallas landing the 2nd seed, but he can't take all the credit. Of course, it helps his case joining a team with 2 All-NBA caliber players already bolstering the starting lineup. This was Kyrie and AD's first full season together, and their play was meshing perfectly alongside their third option, a sharpshooter Klay Thompson. So come the playoffs, the Mavericks and Flagg were ready to make a deep run. And the first round just so happened to be a heavily storied matchup against the Lakers. It was Luka Doncic up against the team that betrayed him, AD against the team that refused to get him help at center, and Kyrie and LeBron matching up years after the run together in Cleveland. So a story that would go slightly under the radar was the Cooper Flagg and LeBron matchup, a one-on-one duel that could be acting as the passing of the torch from the current face of the league to the potential future of the NBA. And while everyone else on the court was distracted by the battle of the superstars, Coop was quietly shining in his first postseason appearance in what would end up being an easy win over LA, which wasn't only setting the tone for this postseason, but it may have been the standard moving forward, not only defeating the Timberwolves in a one-sided 6-game series, but also facing the defending champion Thunder in the conference finals and what would end up being a shockingly easy series for Dallas, finally having an opportunity to justify the Luka trade as they return back to the NBA Finals, where we'd get a rematch of the 2024 matchup against Tatum and his Celtics again. But this time around, the Mavs looked very different, with their offensive focal point being through Anthony Davis. But still, as only a rookie, Flagg was holding his own. He was averaging just over 13 points a game against a veteran Celtics roster, but what was more notable was his defense, up against Jason Tatum and making his time in the court feel like a nightmare, which ultimately would be enough to help his team make that leap and defeat the Boston Celtics. And even though most of the credit will go to Kyrie and Anthony Davis, who won Finals MVP, Coop was still making progress towards one of his goals and would play a bigger role soon enough. Because heading into 2027, his game was already taking massive strides, seeing an increase in all of his statistical averages to include a 6-point bump in his scoring, which was all enough to already earn his first selection as an All-Star and to go further by making the All-NBA third team. But even still, he'd be overshadowed by his teammates, because it was still Kyrie and AD's show here, leading the way through the majority of the season. And despite Flagg heating up at the perfect time in the conference finals, landing his best stretch of 7 games at just the right time to ultimately earn the Western Conference Finals MVP, at the end of the day, the spotlight was elsewhere as the Mavericks claw their way to a repeat championship, which now gives Flagg an incredible start to his NBA career, even if the success wasn't entirely produced on his own. But don't get too excited for the young star just yet, because major change was on the horizon. As in, Kyrie was on the move as a free agent, heading out to LA joining the Clippers, where he would team up with a 40-year-old Stephen Curry in his last season, and he wasn't the only player looking for new opportunities, as Anthony Davis was chasing the money and would decide to take his talents to Brooklyn for the big payday, which means now Coop was the sole All-Star left wearing a Mavericks jersey, leaving his destiny completely in his own hands. But with such ambitious goals ahead of him, to catch the all-time greats, this would be anything but easy. And even though Flagg was confident that he could hold his own, fans around the league still had their doubts.
Flagg's done. He's not at that level where he can lead a team on his own. Frankly, I'm not even sure the Dallas Mavericks will make the playoffs next season.
So as the whole world would seem to abandon him, Cooper was stepping up in the moment with his stats skyrocketing from the season before, exhibiting shades of what's to come as he takes the reins of the team as the #1 option, which was shown best come a midseason season matchup with the Los Angeles Lakers, where he would erupt for his most impressive NBA game to date, setting a new career high of 53 points in a blowout win as he lets the world know he's here to stay. But despite his great play, the team's success was still in jeopardy, with the only replacements for AD and Kyrie being Naz Reid and Zach LaVine, which would land the Mavericks the 9th seed this season in a battle in the play-in against the Wolves, who would promptly take control of this single elimination game and put a screeching halt to Cooper's hopes of a solo-led playoff run, acting as a preview of the harsh reality soon to come, and the analysts were turning on the young star.
I try to tell y'all, all these bus riders, they don't mean nothing to me. If you ain't driving the bus, don't walk around and talk about you a champion. If you ride the bus, I don't want to hear.
But Flagg was drowning out all the noise and was doing the only thing he could do. Flat out hooping at a high level, continually elevating his game each season, now placing in the top 3 around the league for scoring as he surpasses 30 for the first time. Although unfortunately, landing the 7th seed was going to keep him out of any MVP conversations, which, speaking of, they would end up running into the MVP in round 1 of the playoffs, Victor Wembanyama, who would unsurprisingly put an end to the Mavs season early for the 2nd year in a row. And with that, it was becoming extremely obvious that Flagg needed a Robin to his Batman. Dallas has put some decent rotation players around Cooper Flagg, but nobody that can actually help him get to that next level and win it all until next season. They're about to bring in some help finally, which would be by acquiring Jalen Williams from OKC in the offseason. Dallas landed the 4th pick this year from the Lakers as part of the Luka trade, and they would use that in a package to acquire Williams from the Thunder. And he would fit in perfectly alongside Coop by producing on both ends of the floor, and Dallas wasn't stopping there. They went all in this year to help Flagg and were adding veteran PG Jamal Murray. So now, with all the pieces falling into place, our star was executing when given the chance, continuing to lead the Mavs as their #1 option, and he would finally land a solid record without AD and Kyrie. And with Dallas back in position to contend for a ring, Cooper and his squad would walk into the playoffs like they never left, winning round 1 against the Warriors and then sending the Phoenix Suns packing with ease in the 2nd round. And even though the conference finals would push to a winner-go-home 7th game, Cooper wouldn't let fans doubt for a moment who would win this one, having one of the best Game 7 performances of all time with over 40 points on the road against OKC and taking his team the distance.
The Western Conference champions are the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to the NBA Finals.
Only to make it to the NBA Finals, where they wouldn't stand a chance against this year's MVP and his Chicago Bulls, who landed the best record in the league this season, crushing the Mavericks quickly in a devastating sweep. This is really terrible for Flagg. Makes it through the entire playoffs, finally, just to get swept in the finals. Just when you thought things were coming together for him, right back to square one. And even though 2031 would start off showing promise, as Flagg was named this season's Clutch Player of the Year, come the postseason, the struggles would continue to pile up. Against the Los Angeles Clippers, led by Jared McCain, the Mavericks would be taking their most embarrassing loss yet. Despite having the clear-cut better roster on paper, the Clippers were walking all over them, sweeping Dallas in the 1st round of the playoffs, leaving Cooper Flagg completely stunned in the midst of defeat. For years now, since losing his co-stars, Flagg has struggled every season to make progress, whether that was losing early in the playoffs or being completely crushed in the finals, and it was clear that he was completely sick of losing. But as we get underway with the 2032 season, things were feeling a bit different this time. As we've seen for years now, Flagg has been looking like one of the best players in the entire association, winning NBA first teams year after year, all-star appearances, and everything in between. But with his team's struggles, he's never received the same respect as many of his peers. Finally though, as the Mavs land their best record since the start of Flagg's career, he was about to get his flowers. There was no denying it anymore, and after 7 years in the league, he'd finally be titled as the top guy. It's been a long time coming for Flagg, but he is finally the MVP of the league with 29 points a game, almost 9 rebounds a night. It's taken 7 years, but Flagg is now officially on the board making progress towards catching LeBron. And with such a dominant season, it'd be no surprise he'd have a deep playoff run, with hopes of making progress on another goal. But first, he'll have to overcome yet another series with the OKC Thunder. And with the underdog 5th-seeded Pacers waiting in the finals, whoever wins the West would be favorites to win it all. So as we see the Mavericks make the first strike with the MVP leading the way for his team to win the first 2 games on the road, it would seem like they were in full control here. That is, until the Thunder retaliated back with even more force, not just regaining home court advantage by winning 2 straight on the road, but then going back up to OKC in Game 5 with a massive win, regaining control of the series. But for Flagg, facing elimination didn't faze him one bit. He was refusing to go out just yet. With a huge bounce back performance in Game 6 to keep his team's season alive, coming up big to force one final Game 7. But that didn't guarantee anything for him and his Mavs, because OKC wanted this just as bad. And come the end of the game, both sides will find themselves nearly in a stalemate, and the fate of the season will come down to a couple of minutes of basketball. This is the closest the Mavericks and Cooper Flagg have been to an NBA championship in a long time. They just have to hang on Game 7 versus the Thunder. Coop with the help defense for the steal. Flagg driving in on the fast break. Number 9 guarding him. Flagg his lay. He gives him a lead. What a sequence on both ends of the ball from Cooper Flagg to put Dallas up with just over a minute and a half remaining in this game. Number 9, I don't know who a lot of these guys are. We're so far in the future, but he's being sticked by Denny Advija, driving him way past him, flows by an easy lay. A miscue by Denny, a typically pretty good defender. Flagg with it now though, Shet guarding him. Shet the fat, that could be a flagrant. The MVP hit the first free throw. The second free throw is good, puts the Mavericks back up by 2. If you get a stop here, you're in great situation if you are Dallas. Number 9 is on the ball again, driving by Denny again, he draws the foul. Yimga McCory, number 9, misses one of his free throws. Flagg on the break. That was way too easy if you're the Thunder. Up by 3 now. Dallas with the lead. Cooper Flagg is coming up huge here. Number 9 is trying to battle out with Coop. We're not seeing SGA get involved too much. He is the team's best player. Wide open free 3 though. Speaking of devil, it's off. I'm over here losing all my train of thought. Williams on the break. Gets to the Flagg for 3. To extend the lead. Puts him up by 6. Cooper Flagg delivers the biggest game of his career to date. Number 9, they take a timeout. They don't know what to do. I actually cannot believe it. Cooper Flagg is taking over this game here late. The Thunder, the inbound to SGA. They get it over to Shet. Number 9, his pull-up 3. He gets that one to go. They're still within 3. 50 seconds left. A lot of time left in this Game 7. Anything can happen here in OKC. Coop with it. Shet guarding him. The pullback. Coop sizing him up. One-on-one. The pull-up. Pump fake. Nowhere to go. Kicks out Jalen Williams. The huge pickup to help take this team to this level. Williams coming off the screen. A pull-up 3. A really difficult shot. It's off. Maluk with the rebound. SGA. They kick it up forward to Diggs. Diggs the spin. Shet has it. Shet goes for the leg. Gets him within 1. They're probably going to play the foul game now. Williams at the line. Dallas had a huge lead, but they may be crumbling. He hit the first free throw. The second one puts him back up by 3, but OKC is still within arm's reach, possibly able to tie this game up. Coming up the timeout, Cooper Flagg and his Mavericks are one stop away from a trip to the NBA Finals. You have to come up big here. SJ with the ball, a post fade, a quick move. It's off. Flagg the board. I don't like that play. Flagg does sink home both free throws. 5-point game. I guess the Thunder could technically try to pull something out here if they can score quick. Diggs the pump. You got to shoot the quick 3. A step back. Beautiful move. That's a $1 million move. 2-cent finish. This one is over. The Mavericks are headed back to the NBA Finals. And as anticipated, the winner of the West was rolling into the NBA Finals against the Pacers as heavy favorites to win it all. And after so many years of falling short, there was absolutely no way Coop was letting this one slip away, and it would be over before you know it. Finally, Flagg is winning an NBA championship without AD or Kyrie, and as he earns the Finals MVP, this was only the beginning. Because the very next year, Flagg's confidence was sky high as he yet again broke the 30-point club en route to earning his second MVP, which of course would make more progress towards his LeBron goal, but that wasn't it. A Defensive Player of the Year for Coop. That is insane when you have a prime Wembanyama in the league at the same time as you. And with Coop finally getting some recognition, now is a great time to look back at what he's accomplished in the first half of his career so far, because the excitement is only getting started. Going into this year's playoffs even harder than the season before, making his way through the Western Conference to include what's becoming a bit of a rivalry with the Thunder, and eventually facing the Portland Trail Blazers in the conference finals to complete their path for an opportunity at a repeat. Facing Cade Cunningham and his Pistons for the second straight finals. And just like last year, the Western Conference was where the true battles would be at, because again, a Central Division team from the East was putting up no real threat to our stars. Winning his second championship in a row, now completing the second repeat of his career, and everything seemed perfect as he had a possibility for the three-peat. But perfect was at risk of coming to an end, as the next season the Bulls had a 2-1 edge in the finals, meaning now after his third MVP season, Coop's three-peat hopes were in jeopardy. But he wasn't backing down from the challenge, and paired with his young star teammate King Beckett, they would start clawing back into the series, not only winning game 4 on the road to tie everything up, but also continuing to ride up their momentum in the following games, battling head-to-head with Chicago star Boozer in multiple tightly contested matchups, all for the Mavs to have more firepower in the end. Officially completing the three-peat against all the odds, completing the first of Flagg's goals as he continues to strive for GOAT status, but this time he wasn't winning Finals MVP, and his star running mate was instead, but it may have been a curse in disguise. It is amazing that Flagg finally has an MVP caliber teammate alongside him to help him win, but the problem is the money. He is about to be a free agent, and he's eligible for a super max contract. They have to pay him. There's no way they're gonna let him walk. But then you have guys like Jalen Williams, who only has 1 year left on his contract. Derek Lively doesn't have a lot of time left. So the window for Flagg and these Mavericks to keep winning championships could be shrinking down because of money, unless Flagg and King Beckett can just carry the organization on their own. But there's so much talent in the league. It'll be interesting to see starting with next season. And the 2035 season will be going relatively how we've become accustomed to as of late. The Mavericks were still the most dominant team in the West by a wide margin, and it was still Flagg leading the charge, continuing to post huge numbers on a nightly basis, even if his streak of MVPs would end this year. They'd win every round of the West as his routine at this point, except the one difference was there was no OKC, and we're about to see why. SGA was pulling a KD and joining a team that just made it to the finals last year. So now, as the Mavs prepare for a rematch of last season, things were getting even more difficult. And if you remember, Dallas found themselves down 2-1 last year. So now it shouldn't be too shocking that this year, with SGA added, they were finding themselves down 3-1. And as the Mavericks find themselves trailing in Game 5, a comeback this year wasn't guaranteed. It has been a long time since Coop has had himself in a situation like this, facing elimination, but down by 3, there is still slight hope in these NBA Finals that Flagg can get ring number 6 here against the Bulls. Flagg in the post versus Buzelis. The drop step hook from 2 feet away misses. The Bulls with the rebound. Again, I don't know who a lot of these guys are. We are so far into the future. It's not even funny now. Number 25 gets it over to Josh Giddey. Josh, the mid-range J, extends Chicago's lead to 5. This is a must-score possession for the Dallas Mavericks. If you don't score here, your season could absolutely be over. Coop driving in. The little hop step. He gets the 9 at the rim. Hayes gets it. Killian Hayes with the ball. 40 seconds left in this game. He pulls the 3 to quick trigger. Sinks it in. Keeping Flagg and the Mavericks alive for moments longer. 2-point game. You have to get a stop here, or this one might be done. Josh Giddey coming around the screen. He's wide open. Pull up 3. Not a good shooter, but he's good there. Wow. Coming out of a timeout, it all boils down to this. I feel like you absolutely have to score off of this inbound. Maybe they have a hope if they don't, but I feel like this will give you at least a chance. Getting the screen from Beckett. Cooper Flagg. Buzelis on him. The pull-up J. Flagg gets it to go. 3-point game. They could still maybe pull something off. Inbound to the free throw merchant. Josh Giddey to the line. Giddey did hit both free throws. 5-point game now. No timeouts left for Dallas. Back at the pull-up 3 off the assist from Coop. It's off. This one is over. And this loss may have had more implications than just falling short of ring 6, and in fact could be the end of the Dallas dynasty. Because as mentioned before, Williams would end up leaving thanks to salary cap problems, which in turn did lead to Flagg cracking the 30-point club again, now for the 5th time in his career, thanks to less touches for Williams. But the scoring absence from Williams also led to their worst record in several years. And unfortunately, that would be the standard for seasons to come, as other teams continue to add talent, and with the Mavericks at times dropping all the way down to the 14th seed. Coop himself will continue to be a perennial all-star and all-NBA player, still scoring at one of the highest clips in the NBA, and he'd even eventually make his way to Boston in 2040, ending his legacy in Dallas, but he's sure to have his jersey retired. With the Celtics, Coop had a better group around him and would make the playoffs a few times, but they weren't making the conference finals again for the rest of Flagg's career. And as much as I hate to say it, the second half of his career was anticlimactic, with little team success and failing to complete 2 of his 3 goals, but overall, he would still have an all-time great career. After 21 seasons, Coop has officially retired. I know the last 11 years were pretty anticlimactic, but I wanted to keep it authentic to the simulation. The 2K sim did not have him winning at all the last 11 years. Let me know in the comments if in the future should I mix up a little bit to at least give him a better chance, maybe get him to a couple more finals. You know how 2K is. Sometimes they don't sign any decent players. It's hit or miss. But I did want to, before we end the video, quickly look at all of his records for all of NBA history. So this is glitched or something for some reason, because he did actually pass LeBron James. I did not think he was going to, but he did. He has 46,000. I'll show you guys. Coop's total points, 46,793. I don't know why they don't have him on the all-time list, and I don't think he's on any of them. So maybe we won't be to show you all of his records. I wanted to show the all-time rankings for everything, but this is his points. Rebounds, almost 14,000. A little over 9,000 assists. He has 3,496 steals, 2,146 blocks. And yeah, I even finished simulating the season after his retirement. He's not showing up for some reason. Cam Boozer's here, even though he just retired. I don't know why. I guess 2K is trying to protect LeBron, but he definitely did pass LeBron here. Shout out to 2K to somehow mess this up. I can't even see 21 years that I just simulated all the progress of NBA history. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is Cooper Flagg in the GOAT combo? Did he do enough? He didn't meet all of his goals, but he did have one heck of a career. You guys are going to have to let me know.